for the month of August. This one is again catered to be a little bit longer. I did do a separate post this morning talking about some of the discussion items. So we're trying to stay in that arena. And once I go down those discussion items, we'll try to take some questions. I did initially have a hard start time, but I don't now. So we'll stay on here as long as need be to answer any questions that citizens might have, and also give a chance for those that's kind of coming in late to kind of jump on the board as well. So we'll wait a few more minutes. I'm just kind of looking at people kind of come in, and then we'll get started. I hope everybody's having a great day. I know we got some nice weather right now. I think it's pretty cool outside, so that's a great thing. So get out there and enjoy the weather this weekend, and as always, be safe. So, all right. And while we're waiting for some everybody to come on board, I got a question about my little water thing. I thought everybody was in the know about this. So after this going on a year, right? It's probably about a year now that this water has been here. And if you can look in there, this was a baby wipe. I don't know if you can see that. It was a baby wipe that we put in there. And now this is an extreme example. Of course, once the baby wipe goes through the system, it's gonna deteriorate a little bit more. But as a picture, you can just imagine when we throw baby wipes and other things down the drainage, how long they can stay there. I mean, this thing is still kind of breaking apart. Now the water treatment plants, the wastewater treatment plant, the job it is to remove all this stuff. But I just wanted initially let everybody see, what we face pretty much every day with people throwing stuff down the drain, and why it's so important to not flush baby wipes, not use throw chicken grease down the drain and uh, other toiletries and stuff like that. So again, we need help with that. I know I have not talked about that in a long time, but it is still a problem. It's getting a little bit better, but it's still a problem. So, and we'll touch on this in another meeting. So, I'll go ahead and get started. I see we got enough people that's watching. So we got 10 items today, and I'm going to try to just briefly talk on them so I can get through all the items. When the questions pop up, for whatever reason, sometimes we don't see them. So I'll try to make sure I come back and answer any questions that come into the comment section. But again, if I miss some of those comments or the team misses some of those comments, we will definitely follow back up with this video and answer those questions. And as a reminder, these videos only stay up for 30 days because they're live streamed and then they get took down. But you can find them on our YouTube channel. The archives there if you want to go back and look at those after 30 days. So we'll go ahead and start. And the first thing we're going to start with is, of course, safety. One of our biggest topics and ongoing topics or issues or concern. And again, I'm asking everybody to slow down. Still kind of actually picked up the speed since last time I brought this up earlier this month. If you're not aware, we did download. Well, we have a program now where we kind of can track certain variables in regards to traveling with vehicles. Now we can't see which vehicle it is, the license plates, but we can get like a number. You had 20 cars come down South Street today, and then on that number we can get an average of out of those 20 cars on South Street, 15 was going 50 miles per hour or whatever. So why is this important? So we've been looking at the data, and so as an example, we have 10 cars. Pretty much all 10 cars are going to be exceeding speed limit. So it's hard to continue to go out there and tell everybody to slow down when everybody is speeding. So again, I ask you to just slow down, leave early if you got to be somewhere. School's in session right now, so we do have kids waiting on the buses to go to school. And in some cases, we have kids and we have children walking to school, and we just don't want to put those children in harm's way. So please just leave on time. Please follow all posted yield signs, stop signs, traffic lights. We have a huge uptick in people running red lights. I'm not sure again why we keep running red lights, but that's preventable. Most of our accidents are preventable if you just slow down and kind of pay attention. We also got an uptake on people talking on their cell phones while driving vehicles, and that's kind of hard to understand too because most vehicles, and I don't want to show my age here, but I'm pretty sure since 2000, most vehicles can Bluetooth in. You can talk that way versus having your phone up. Also, putting those phones directly in line of sight when you're driving. I'm going to check with Chief Cox because I think that's illegal. I could be wrong, but I don't think you can have the phone in the front window shield where it's visible from the outside. But we're going to check on that. Again, that creates a safety hazard if you're looking down at the phone while you're traveling. So again, we're asking everybody just to be safe out there on the roads. Our parks will be opening up next month. So we're going to have a lot of traffic around our parks. We just want to watch out for each other. So again, please slow down. Pay attention to all of the posted traffic signs, lights, and other devices to help us all be safe. So the first actual topic I'm going to talk about is going to be street paving, and we got a lot of questions on that. Doing some other posts and sometimes at the meetings. And I'm going to try to be brief here. I will ask that you go on to the City of Waycross website, and you can find our street paving list as well as our dirt road paving list. They are two separate lists because initially they were getting funded by two separate splots. So right now we're kind of finishing off, I want to say the 2018 splots as far as dirt roads and paved roads. And then we're going to move into the 2023 splots, which is catered. Well, the mandate said to pave all dirt roads, which was what the commission wanted to do. And once that was done, any monies left over could go on to the other paving. And I think we have plenty of money left over. I think it was 4.5 million allocated for that purpose. But you see those lists. It's on the engineering section of the web page. So you have to go on the main page, then go to departments, and then go to the engineering section, and you'll see the list. Now, the list of paved roads is not the complete list. I think it's just the next 100. So we actually have about all 514 roads on a master list. But I want everybody to see the next 100 because realistically, that's the amount of roads we'll probably get done probably over the next 5 years based on budgeting concerns. So, but with that said, let me explain to the citizens how that works. We have a lot of questions on just how we prioritize roads. So the first thing, and I'm gonna cover later on about GDOT maintain streets and roads versus city maintain streets and roads. But I want to point this out right now. So yes, there were many ways to figure out how to prioritize the roads. Of course, everybody uses the state roads maintained by GDOT more than any other roads. That would be your Plants Avenue, your Memorials, your Ozzie Davis, Corridor Z, all those roads. But they're maintained by the state. So that means the paving is done by the state. Now we are responsible for the utilities underneath the piping and the watering, but the state maintains the paving on those roads. So yes, in a perfect road, we kind of would have did all those roads first because yes, they are used the most by our population. But again, we don't manage GDOT roads, all the state roads. So we manage all the streets and roads within the city limits. So what we did, we created a master list by using what they call robotics technology, which is what it does is it captures the age by getting core samples of the roads, historical data, and then it gives a map view of the road, just looking at all the potholes and all those things, and it gives those streets and roads a score. All right. The next thing we then do is we do get with GDOT because GDOT also captures technology, and they more focus on utilization, meaning in an 8-hour time period, X amount of cars travel this road. We took that mix, 70-30, with the 70% being the quality of the roads, the current shape they were in, and then the 30% being the utilization of the roads. And we made that mix. And from there, we created a score. And the score is like 1 to 5, and with 5 being the worst. And I guess you would ask why do we do that? So we want to get the 5 worst roads first because they're going to cost the most, not the 5 worst roads. We want to get the worst roads first because they're going to cost the most to correct. That's what we're doing right now. Now, over time, as we get closer to the roads that is not in the same condition or in better conditions, the cost will get less. And then the number of roads will pick up because we have more funding to do more roads. So that's how the list was created. If you want to stop by the office, I can show you the actual robotics program. It's interactive. It can take you through every road. It's like you got a camera on your drive and you can see the condition of every single road in the city. and I can show you the hot spots, what we call the trouble spots, and hopefully you can better understand how that was done. Um, and like it's so wild on that we wanted to go that way because we didn't want to go just to be picking roles without no real data. So everything we do up here at the city hall is data driven. We don't just make decisions based off of whatever reason. We try to capture some data, and then using those data points and those performance measures, we then create our plan. So this is data driven, robotics driven, GDOT driven, and it kind of spits out the list, and then we go from that list. And I really hope everybody understands that because let me go back. I can understand your frustration to begin with. We have a lot of roads that need work. Out of the 514 roads, no road got a perfect score. All roads need some kind of mitigation. But like right now, we're trying to fix the worst roads first. And I'll make another point on that. If you can imagine those who are history buffs, you can know how Ray Cross was built, and you in that concept you can know automatically where all the older roads kind of lie. And that's going to be in your downtown area, and then working your way out, kind of going like northeast, if that makes sense. So I hope I explained that as best I could. I can get into that a little bit later on. I want to make sure I cover everything first, but I can come back to that if you have questions. But again, if you really want more insight, just come see us and I can show you the program and we can go from there. All right. The next topic was children's events. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here. I will say a lot of this is simply, I guess, the sharing of information, and this is an area I'm still trying to figure out. We do a lot of live streams. We do collaborations with a lot of other individuals in the community doing the same work, and for whatever reason, I guess it's not getting out to the general population. I would just ask those individuals that seem not to be getting information as you look at the pages that you are following. Now, I'm not trying to be confrontational when I say this. We do have some dedicated pages that are just meant to be there for people to come on there and complain. And I'm all with that. Go vent, say what you got to say, and it's all good. But there are other pages that kind of share information definitely that's coming from the city, the county, the school board, local partners, key stakeholders that's really relevant to a topic like this, children's events. The tourism, they post the events. Now, we're kind of part of tourism, so they're posting on our website, but tourism, I think, it has its own website, as well. So definitely check that out. Downtown Development. They do a lot of events downtown that are children friendly. Check that out. The school board, of course. You definitely need to follow the school board because they do a lot of programs for our children after school. The library, another great source of information about events for children. So I don't want to list all those events right now, but I will say every weekend, I think there's an event for children here happening in Waycross and Ware County. But you got to be in the know, and you got to make sure you're following the right pages or talking to the right people to get the right information. If we need be, we can do a separate post about this. I'm actually going to ask the team to kind of do a survey just to kind of gather some data on where people getting the information from. Because, like I said, there's a lot going on. We got First Friday next Friday coming up. That's children oriented as well. So events are happening. We did as far as the city, we did our first game night. And I think we had some children come there too as well. So we're trying our best to put these events out there. We just need to figure out what's the proper means outside of Facebook. I know everybody says that on Facebook. But right now, this is our primary means of communication with the community. So next, we go on a community center. That's been a hot topic. And I'm gonna break down the community center in two phases. So one will be the community center for community events, and then two will be for unhoused citizens, which I'll cover later on. But as far as the community center, so I've discussed this at meetings about how that would work. So the vision would be to have something similar to the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club. Now, those organizations, they have boards, they have their own separate funding, their own staff, and their own resources. The city does not have that. We are not staffed to run a community center. Would it be great? Yes. Do we have some possible locations? Yes. But the city is just not staffed to do that. We don't have the personnel. We don't have the funding to do the programs required to maintain a community center. We just don't have it. And at the same time, we cannot regulate the costs that the before mentioned organizations may have for their services. But a great idea. Now we've been talking to some key volunteer citizens in the community about doing a community center led by the community, and I look forward to that conversation and that fruition if it happens. But as far as the city, and I'm trying to keep this simple, we just not staffed to run a community center, and you're not going to find many cities that are, especially a small city like Waycross. But not saying it's not a great idea. I mean, it will be. I see somebody making a comment right now on my phone. I can see it from here about the Armory. I'm gonna come back to the Armory when I get a chance. So yes, that's a building, and yes, it could be used for a lot of purposes. But again, the city is responsible for providing basic services, and that would not be running a community center. I'll discuss the liability when I get down to our unhoused population, but um, right now we just being transparent up front. We cannot do that. Not saying it's not a good idea. Not saying it's something we shouldn't look at, and that we are looking at. But for a city manager, it just can't be done. I hope everybody can appreciate that answer and understand it. But if need be, I can come back and hit that again at a later date. Okay, blighted properties, and this has been coming up a lot lately. We get calls every day. Um, uh, I'm trying to see how I want to shape this. So with the blighted properties, right? Um, they kind of come in two areas. So we have the blighted properties where we have a unsafe structure on them, and then we have the blighted properties where it might be just a lot where the building was knocked down and it's only a lot remaining. So let me try to break this down best I can. This conversation requires a few hours because it's a lot to process. But let me try to just hit the top layer stuff. So when the city knocks down an unsafe structure, and we use a lot of times sparse dollars for that because we're not budgeted to do that. Um, we put a lien on that property. The property still belongs to the individual as long as they are paying property taxes. I hope everybody can kind of understand that part of it. So that the property, again, when the city knocks down a building on a property, personal property, the citizen still owns that property. Okay, so next question would be, can you legally still go cut, the grass? Legally, in some cases, we can, but I'll tell you why that's a challenge here in a little bit. But back to those property owners. Majority of the time, somebody in that family still owns that property, and 95% of the time they don't live in Waycross, and we're having a hard time contacting them about these properties. Now we do find them, but that fine process is only a one-time fine for that year through the court process. We're trying to change that right now in the charter because it needs to be changed, but right now that's the only process we have. So some people just come in and pay that fine, and then the process starts all over again for the next year. So I hope you can I'm trying to summarize. This is very important that you understand that. And in some cases, we don't even the judge doesn't even give us the legality to go on the property, even though, in some cases he does. But when a unsafe structure gets knocked down, that property still belongs, in most cases, to someone. The same thing can be said about all these abandoned properties where just a lot, where a house got knocked down some years ago. That property probably still belongs to someone, and they're still paying taxes on it. And we do take them to court again and again. It's a 12 to 14 month period of taking that one home. And on average, we're taking about 20 homes pretty much every quarter to court for these situations. So that's the first part of it. So now let's talk about why when we can cut it, why we don't. So our public works staff every week, they're responsible for. I'm gonna hit this later on as well when I talk about personnel shortages. They're responsible for maintaining 11.8 square miles, and I want to do the calculations of city-owned properties. That includes the canals, the alleys, the right-of-ways, our parks, city properties. The police department grass, the auditorium grass, city hall, all these things, and our staff has been cut over the years based on budgetary decisions. Because, like I said, when citizens want low taxes and low fees, we have to cut somewhere, and a lot of times that means cutting down the staff. Because if you didn't know, and I'll hit this on at the end when I talk about salaries, 85% of our staff is paid through taxes, or the taxation process. That's where our salaries come from. So as we try to manage taxes and keep them low from citizens, we're also trying to balance our salaries for our employees. So that's part of it too. So back to why we don't cut it. So as I said, we're cutting 11.8 square miles of greenage. If we were to add the over 2,000 abandoned properties, and I ain't no math major, but that will quadruple our workload, if you can understand that. And that means pretty much every week we will not do something. It will be impossible. We would definitely be cutting the parks every 2 months at that point. And it becomes a business decision. Okay, what is the priority? Everybody uses the parks, so we got to cut the parks. We want our right of ways entering the city to be presentable because people are coming in the city to do business. We want to keep our right of ways around the city clean for that same purpose. So, yes, we maybe could on some court orders, but no, we just don't have the personnel. And and I know everybody doesn't kind of understand this, but for 8 months out of the year, we're talking 100 plus degrees, and we're really pushing our staff already to cut what they need to cut. So that's kind of the situation that we're in as far as the blighted properties on why we don't cut those properties. Let me tell you what we're trying to do about those properties. So I have getting a lot of feedback from the community about the short sales and the tax sales and the land bank. We have just started a land bank here over the last couple of years, I believe, right before I got here. So we're still trying to, again, being transparent, figure that out. I know larger cities who've been doing land bank a little bit longer, they have incorporated more properties, which the land bank, depending on the charter, they can waive all the fees, which I've kind of figured out over the last few weeks as far as the back tax and those things. But that still means the land bank has to purchase those properties first. So I'm trying to work with the tax commissioner's office, the land bank, also our state reps, and just figure out how can we get it to a point that if an individual wants to buy a piece of property and just say the property is assessed at $1,000, but it's got $10,000 of back taxes on it. Of course, the citizen is not going to buy that property at that point in time. Just it's not worth it. But if we find how to waive the taxes and then put some verbiage in there that okay, we're waiving these taxes and fines, but if you buy this property, you gotta develop it within 2 years, or if not, then you pay the back taxes or you lose the property. So we're trying to model that narrative because we see other cities doing it and they're kind of being somewhat successful. Now, again, you're talking about over 2,000 properties that we got to figure out, and in most cases, about half of those properties, again, somebody still more than half, somebody still owns that land, and we can't just physically take it from them. So, I hope I explained that. Again, it probably requires a longer and much deeper conversation. But again, I'm just trying to touch on the higher parts of it right now. And I will definitely come back if you want me to and do a whole separate live stream or face to face on any of these items we were discussing today, because I want to make sure that our citizens really get it. Because, like I say, I understand your frustration with a lot of this. I get frustrated sometimes because I feel like we're trying our best to mitigate all these issues, but it's just like for some reason there's a barrier in communications on what's being done, what's not being done, what should be done, and I think that causes a little bit of anger, um, which is not needed if we all had the same understanding of the problem. So, all right. So next, I'm gonna look real fast, make sure there are no questions popping up because sometimes it's like we can't see them, but no questions popped up right now. So, unhoused citizens. It's a big topic right now. I'm gonna try to not get too deep in this, but I think we all recognize this is a problem across the country, across the world, and everybody's trying their best to figure this out. But here in the city of Waycross, Georgia, I want to tell you what we're doing to help our citizens who are unhoused and things you could do to help them out. So basically, if you look at the data and the numbers, we have, I would say, three types of unhoused soldiers or citizens, and which comes down to this: about a third of our citizens who are unhoused, um, they don't want to be helped. That's all I can say. It. Um, I spend a lot of time and my staff, key people on my staff, um, other organizations that we partner with, and we go out to, our hotspot areas behind the Walmarts and the Lowe's, other areas that we go talk to our unhoused citizens, and they just don't want to be helped. I know it's not a. I hope that's not a. You take that as a cop out, but we try to provide them, shelter in some cases, especially when it gets cold, and we make our facilities available for them that they don't want our help. They have nice tents. Um, they are, some of them are getting Social Security and other funding. They just want to be, I guess, want to be what they want to be. And I know, it hurts sometimes because you think how do they eat, but they're eating. Um, and when I say they don't want help, they don't want to be put in any type of housing. Let me say it that way. They don't mind coming to get some free meals like that O provides and other in the churches and all those things, but they don't want to be helped. They actually like living the way they're living, and I think I had to you know accept that, because what you don't want to do is to keep coming like I did initially, every week, trying to offer help, because then it becomes advantageous to them, and they don't want to talk to you anymore. So, but again, trying to be transparent on the entire problem. The next set, the next third, um, and this is this is a touchy subject. I'm trying to make sure I don't offend anybody, but I'm not trying to offend or scare anybody, but it's another part of the population that cannot be housed. Um, for various reasons, I'm gonna leave that right there. I mean, but it's a reality. They cannot be in shelters. They cannot be in churches and things of that nature for some things they have done in their past. And I'll leave that right there. And the last third would be, our unhoused children and women and families that do get help. You know, and I guess because everybody can't see what's going on in the background, you just assume um, these individuals not being helped. And I don't want to get up here and miss out on an agency that's helping out, but I will say, what's that? The Ware County Children's Initiative. Oh man, they do a lot for these citizens that's in that situation. The big thing I'm asking you today, if you're really concerned about the homeless, seek out these organizations and give your time, because right now they need volunteers. I mean, that's the main thing that you can do as citizens to help our unhoused citizens is volunteer your time. They need people to hand out food when they get clothes in and give out clothes or lunches or provide other services. They just don't have enough staff to. I mean, they have staff. Let me take that back. They have staff, but they don't have enough staff to be as effective as they want to be and touch as many people as they want to, because they're a small organization. Now, the churches, like I said, I don't want to miss anybody. It's other organizations that help out as well. Um, but what they all need is volunteers. So again, if you really want to help with our unhoused citizens, then volunteer. I said this before, taking a picture and then saying what the city ain't doing and not talking to the individual or not understanding the problem scope, that's not really helping. You're making the problem worse. You know, so if you really want to help, that's where you can help. I'll say this too. I'm gonna go back to the shelter and the community center. When I see a comment came in my phone when I was talking about liability. Um, a lot of these individuals that are unhoused, they have medical issues and concerns that you got to have liability, because anything could happen. So that's when I say liability, I mean healthcare insurance, medical insurance. Some of them need, the mental evaluation, all those things. So that's why we have to leave that to those organizations who are funded to provide a type of service where the city can. So that's why I was saying liability. I'm talking more of insurance and health versus anything else. But Those are the three or the thirds um, in our unhoused population that we deal with every single day. Um, we do try our best to help out from the city aspect, but again, the city is engineered to provide basic service and not necessarily take on the problem of unhoused people, unhoused citizens. But we do. For those that don't know, in the winter months and the summer months, we open the police courtroom, city hall, and the auditorium for anybody that needs to cool down or get out of the cold. We do that for the cold months pretty much. I think January and February are our coldest months most of the time, so that's when we focus on that. And of course, June and July being our hottest times, and that's when we focus on that. So we try our best to do what we can do. Um, there was a time when I first got here that we tried to place those individuals in hotel, but of course, that's a credit card only type thing. And again, it goes back to the liability. Uh, I myself got some rooms not thinking about putting my credit card in the system, and the individual ordering as much stuff they want, not because I didn't say they couldn't. So we got to be careful with that. But those are the three segments, kind of what's going on with the unhoused. Like I say, the biggest thing you can do if you want to really help out is just volunteer. And what we'll do, come back to this post, and we'll put some of those other organizations that kind of work with unhoused citizens, and then you can contact them and try to help when you help. I'm not sure when our next resource fair is going to be. We were looking at doing it quarterly. October. Yeah, okay, so it is October. So the next resource fair is going to be in October, and then all those organizations will be out in the auditorium. You can come there if you want to help. You can get with them. You kind of where you fit in. Any great ideas you have, present them then. Or actually, don't wait. You can come see me right now, present the idea, and we'll try to facilitate it. On the spot. Definitely, if it makes sense, and help these citizens out. So I hope I kind of hit the mark on that, because that's another discussion that requires many hours. But I just want to hit the top level stuff right now. I kind of said this earlier about the street maintain highways, and with GDOT maintain highways, and city maintain highways. And I kind of went over that. I won't hit this again, but I know we get a lot of, hey, watch out doing this and this and that. We do work with GDOT, so anything. A pothole on those major GDOT highways, maintain highways, we do contact them and ask them to kind of assist us. But they are a federal state organization, so I can't just tell them you will do this. But for the most part, once they've been contacted, they do come out and respond. So that's how that works. So again, just so everybody's clear, GDOT, and that's the Georgia Department of Transportation, your US 1 Ossie Davis, your 520 Corridor Z, your Plant, and I forget the name of that highway. Was it 22? I can't remember. Plant Avenue, Memorial. Those are the main GDOT highways. There's a few more smaller ones in there, but those are the main 5. So anything that's pavement related, that's going to be fixed by the GDOT organization. Every other street in the city limits, yes, that's the city. So, and then I would go back and ask you I would defer back to our street paving list, so you can understand the direction we're going in to fix those streets. All right. Street lights. So for our street lights. So street lights are not maintained by the city. Street lights are maintained by Georgia Power. Why I bring that up? So if you got a street light that's out, they have a tool on their website that you can go to. Call that in, and they'll document that light's being out, and they will fix it. This is much faster than you calling your commissioner or using I think it's on our app as well, that outage tool. Now, if it's not, we'll get it there. But that's much faster than you trying to go through the city, because then we would just be calling them. And the problem with that is, if you use that tool, then it's going to ask for email. You'll get direct feedback from Georgia Power. If I do it, and I get feedback from Georgia Power, and I'm going through 1,000 emails a day, I might not see a request for this information or when it's going to be done. And then, I might not talk to the citizen or the commissioner in that particular week, and everybody thinks we're not doing our job. So the faster way to kind of address street lights is going to be to go through that Georgia Power website and use that outage tool, and they will come address your needs. At the same time, like I say, Georgia Power has a system of how they place lights. and that costs money. And when they do place lights, so I say Georgia Power runs the lights. The city still pays for them, if that makes sense. So every time we get a request, well, I need a light in front of my house, that's extra money that the city has to pick up. And then even if you want one, they still have to meet the requirements for Georgia Power to place one. It can't just be, hey, go put a light out there. And they have a certain distance between street lights that they do. I cannot speak on as you get further out towards the county why they don't have street lights. That's another whole discussion. I know it is somewhat cost, and we are kind of looking at that because we understand there are some dark roads, but we're trying to figure out how to do that because it's going to significantly raise the cost of power, and that cost got to be passed on to somebody, and that's a hard conversation. Who has to eat that cost that we're trying to figure out? So that's the street lights. All right. So next we're in staffing, and this is the part I hope everybody can kind of appreciate. I kind of touched on it when I was mentioning why I can't cut some of the abandoned properties, but just so you know, again, we're short police. I'm actually missing a whole street team. This will be the team that will be out there. We just focus on speeding. I can't really get down to how the police set up. Well, I can. So they got street divisions, they got detective divisions, they got drug task force, they got different divisions. So the division that we're missing is going to be pretty much the division that gives out tickets every day. Those are the ones that really just sit and monitor, safety and speeding. The problem we have right now is those individuals that we have doing right now. They might be part of the detective team or the gang task force. I have to answer a local call. It's just so many different variations that it can't not be dedicated to one specific task. So we're short police. We're short public works, as I mentioned before. We were short firemen. We're grateful that we got 6 new firemen this week. I think we're still a little bit short on that, but that department is better than others. But these are our 3 major departments that we're short at. Some of this because we did cut staff or we froze positions because we didn't have the funding. Some of this is because we are in an inflation wage war right now, and we may not pay as high as other cities. So we might have a hard time attracting that talent in some situations or some cases. But, regardless of that, we are short in those staffs, which kind of bleeds over to some of the work not being done. Now, I'm going to stand up for my team because even with those shortages, we do a lot. Again, every week, Public Works maintains 11.8 square miles of vegetation. And that includes all 36 miles of canal maintenance. And I'm going to touch on the canal maintenance at the end, but they're doing a great job. Our police force, they have to deal with a lot of drugs here in this community, something I don't like, and some very unfortunate. A lot of gangs here in this community, so they're definitely doing that. But it's a huge workload on them because a lot of times they're getting off. I have to bring them right back in for overtime because something has happened. And you probably heard me say this before, but the police, they should be on the backside of all our problems, all our social problems. The front side should be the rest of us trying to bring these young people back to back to the positive side, so they don't have to interact with police on the back end. So, but I applaud the police. They got a hard job, and they're trying their best. Same thing with the fire department. Although they had the more personnel, they face tough challenges as well because we're actually short on ambulance drivers. And a lot of times, because we don't have a certain amount of trucks in the ambulance team, they get calls every day. And then they're regionalized almost now. Sometimes, depending what's going on in our sister cities, they might have to go down there if they're short, drivers that day. So when that happens, then our firemen have to fill in that gap. And luckily some of them are trained on that area. But again, that's a lot of work every day for such a small team. So we do have a lot of staff shortages. We're trying our best to entice, additional people to our workforce, but it's difficult because, like I say, some of the bigger cities, they can offer better wages than us, and that's just what it is. As I mentioned before, wages are tied into taxes and fees and fines, and I see a lot of posts all the time about Red Cross taxes are high, but our taxes are comparable, if not lower, to most cities, same scale and size and scope as us. So it's a unique challenge. It's going to always be a challenge right now, just because the way that the economy is right now and the environment that we're in right now. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I do want to make sure that's clearly understood about our shortage in staff, and then and why sometimes we might can't be as agile as you might like us to be. But we are trying. We got a great team here. They are trying. So I just ask everybody kind of understand that. And with that, and this being the last item, the canals and the sidewalks that came up a lot this week. So initially, we only had one side mower. That's the mower that cuts the canals. It was very old. We ordered another one, a new one, and it actually just shipped today. So, and I think it's coming from Oklahoma or Nebraska, somewhere like that. It's built to order, brand new. So hopefully it gets here next week, and it's a monster, so it can do a lot more than our old sidearm mower. Our old sidearm mower it blew up last week, and it was on its last leg. And right now, I'm trying to figure out, does it make sense to repair it? Um, if I can get the right cost to repair it, we probably need to, because having two of those mowers going at the same time, it really pick up the pace. But we're saying that over the last two to 3 months, um, it was my decision, based off of guidance from the commission, to work on the flooding and the canal drainage systems. So that's where we're at. We were focusing on operational functional, um, improving the operational functional capabilities of the canal, because some of y'all don't experience the same amount of flooding that others do. Um, I think we have it fixed, but I can't just, I don't want to be absolute, because we never know. You heard me say before, we got a huge drainage problem here that we're still working on. So flooding is still possible, but those areas that we knew about, we did a great job mitigating those areas. So with that said, now that we're back to regular vegetation cutting, as soon as the new sidearm mower gets here, like I said, it can cut much more, much faster, than our old mower. We'll get back to the aesthetics piece of just cutting the grass down low. So hope you can understand that. I appreciate you. I appreciate you understanding this matter. But what we was really trying to do, and we've actually fixed it, was make the canal system better, because we was really trying to get ready, and we're still trying to get ready for any hurricanes that come this way. So hope y'all can understand that. And with the sidewalks, this is my last point as far as discussion items. And I'm not criticizing anybody. This is just Duke Rayford's opinion. First, being a commission is hard. This is I pray for them every day. They got a hard job, trying to meet the needs and requirements of their district and the citizens overall in the city of Waycross. And a lot of times they end up having to focus on stuff people can touch and can see, and that's when we start neglecting things you can't see. And that goes back to the conversation of our utilities and the age of our pipes and all those things that I've discussed before. But they got a hard job, so sometimes they try to do stuff, and sometimes they can't really see the future. Um, with sidewalks and other things of that nature, you can't just put them down if you don't build the sustainment piece behind them. You know, and I did my benchmarking. To maintain all these sidewalks, we need about 8 more personnel. You know, and that's a personnel making a salary of $11 an hour. Uh, and as you know, we can't do that right now. So, are sidewalks nice? Yes. Um, but right now we can't do them all, and then it becomes what they're doing for that district, not that district. I'm going to talk to the commission about this next meeting, doing my update for infrastructure. This is much like the blighted property and a few other things. We just can't do every sidewalk, uh, but we can focus on those ones that enhance safety, the ones around the schools, around the park, stuff like that. Um, we're not trying to make it a has and haves not, but again, the staff is only so big; they can only do so much. And although I would love to be able to do everything, we just simply can't. And I really need everybody to understand that. And I'm not trying to be just be up here and be just a downer, but it's just a reality, you know. Now, as we fix things over time and we create additional revenue and all those things, and get extra people, then we'll pick up extra stuff. But right now, we got to focus on stuff that makes sense, stuff to save money, stuff to keep staff around. Because if I'm out here making them do everything, I've learned these 2.5 years, they're gonna quit, you know, and then I'm gonna have a untrained person for 6, 7 months, which makes things even worse. So, um, those are pretty much all my items, and I guess I went real long this time, but I want to get that out to you today, and I'll come back like I said, and I'll post a summary about everything we talked about today. And again, as always, if you got recommendations that you want to, give us, then like feel free to call, stop by, because we, like I say, we don't know what we don't know. We don't have all the ideas, but we're definitely trying our best to make the city of Red Cross better. So with that, I am complete on my items, and I'll wait a few minutes see if we have any questions, and then maybe I'll just touch on these things real quick as we end this live stream. But I'm not seeing any questions. Am I missing anything? Okay. Okay. So again, those who watch me since I've been here, we don't have any questions. I assume we did a good briefing. But then the other side of that, maybe we didn't. People just don't care. But I'm gonna assume this is value added, and we answered some questions that some citizens had, and that's all I try to do. Okay, got a question. Can we look at this question real fast? Okay, and great question, Miss. Is that Teeter? I should have covered that. So when I was talking about the GDOT maintain streets and right of ways, they maintain all the traffic lights. And I have asked them to look at some of our turn signals, and they are looking at it right now. I don't want to overkeep it myself or say the wrong thing, but they have data and status, data and analytics on how they place turn signals. But I have mentioned to them about the turn signal at Eva. I think it's by that food line, right? The food line right there about doing another turn lane. I'm gonna write this down again, and that's one of the things that I'll do tomorrow. I will follow up with GDOT again, just to see where they're at on that. And I think my team is watching right now, so they took a note down as well, and we'll try to see what we can do with that. But I don't want to overpromise anything. Does it make sense? Yes, I think it does. But my make sense and how they collect their data might be two different things. But we will definitely take your concern and keep pushing it. And with that intersection, let me say that too. That's since I've been here, and I might be wrong, but I want to say that's where most of my accidents have been. If I was outside the corridor Z, that little turn right there, that's where a lot of our accidents have been. I want to say a little bit about that. When you're coming down Plant, you're coming from would it be Blackshear at that point in time. You come down that hill, you have got to slow down. For whatever reason, that light's turning yellow. If it's turning yellow, and there's no way if you make the turn, to make that turn without by the time it turns, when it turns red. I hope I probably explained it the right way. But what I'm trying to say, like you're picking up speed. You got to judge your speed. I've personally been sitting there and saw 2 accidents simply because the person coming down from Blackshear decided to run that turn signal, and the person has already started to take off from the other direction because they got a green light. So man, that's dangerous. That's a dangerous intersection. Like Miss Teeters, that's why you probably brought it up. And I got to give GDOT, and I probably need to sell it that way because it's very dangerous, especially when you incorporate the speeding. That's one of those areas where I talked about. We looked at all the cars, and I think the speed limit is 35 or 45. And on average, we're going about 55 down that road. You can't stop. It's very dangerous. And then got some blind spots. So back to my point on safety, I really need y'all to slow down. That's the first way to protect everybody. Just slow down. And I see some more questions popped up. Let me when would household garbage be picked up? So we done a lot of posts on that. Maybe missed those posts. But household, if you're talking household bulk items, you got to call that in. That's a call in thing. We also have the bins out there. I don't know what park they're in right now, but we're putting the bins out. You can take it there. But if you yeah, okay, yeah. So Monroe Park, 1st September, the big bin to be out there. You can take all your household items outside of tires and paint and fuel and dump it there. But if you're gonna put outside the front of your house, and I'll jump on this real fast, you gotta call no bulk items in. Just because they're there and you haven't called it in, they're gonna ride by every single time. That because that's a cost associated with that. Also, with your vegetation, we've kind of discussed this a few times before. I really need y'all not to put the vegetation on top of manholes or near power lines because they're not gonna pick that up as either. So ideally, you want it to be, you know, on a grassy area in your front yard, not cement either because it messes the crane up. And I know different ways to look at this. We're trying to figure out a better way to pick up that stuff. But right now, I really need y'all to make sure first the vegetation meets the requirements to be picked up, and then put it in a grassy area, not near power lines, not on manhole covers, not near sewers, and not on cement. And then those both items, that's a call in. So I think we just posted the number. Just call that in, and they'll come get your items. And then the second piece of that, the big bin will be traveling around for each park monthly. You can take your items there. I see some questions coming in. Okay, let me see. Yeah. Okay. Back to the staff. I see a question about staff, and it's gonna be a delicate answer because I gotta be careful how I say this. So we try to pay our staff as best we can. Now we do have provisions in our handbook that allow people who get degrees to get a bump in pay. People who get training to get a bump in pay. We also, if a duty description is modified or a person gets a promotion, they get a change in pay. I hope I said that clear enough. I don't want to go too far into this. Nobody just gets a raise because I feel like it. There's a metrics and data again applied to everybody who gets additional pay within the city of Waycross. I hope that's clear. So, but if you got a question about that, again, stop by the office. I can show you that, or you can get I think the handbook is on the website. I believe it is. I'm not sure the section, but go in the handbook and you'll see where it talks about degree completion, training completion, promotions, upwards and lateral, job description modifications, all those things is in our handbook. So please do that first, so you better understand how things work here in the city. All right, let me look back. Do we have any more questions? All right. Okay, so I got a few minutes. What I'll do, I'll run back through everything real fast. I don't want to waste anybody else's time that might have something to do today. So again, we just talked about safety. Again, just slow down. Please pay attention to all the traffic lights, stop signs, yield signs, all those speed calming techniques. Street paving. If you got questions about our street paving list and our dirt road list, go on the website. I think we put it in here. Yeah, it's in the comment section. It'll show you the science behind how we prioritize our roads, the funding location or the funding source, and what groups of roads or streets are up next. All right. Children's events. We just talked about, I didn't really go into detail, but we do have a lot of events pretty much weekly for our children's. Just make sure you're following our page, the tourism page, downtown development page, and if children's Ware County Children's Awareness page. It's multiple pages. I would just say look at the pages you're following and determine if they're posting what you're looking for. And if not, you probably need to follow some other pages to get the information. We also put a calendar out. I want to say at the end of the month for the city report that kind of talks about those things as well. We talked about a community center. I talked about our challenges with staffing, liability programs and funding. So again, long topic. If you want further discussion, then stop by my office and we can talk about it. Is it needed? Yes. Can it be done by the city? Likely not. Can we collaborate with anybody? Yes. So just stop by if you want to take that conversation any further. All right. Blighted properties. We kind of talked about blighted properties and how that works. Um, some of that's a contributor to staffing. Some of that's contributed to how the law works. Um, and then some that's kind of a mix of both. So we're trying our best to get rid of blighted property. We got over 2,000 blighted properties, and we're trying to look at every avenue option available to us to make that process faster and smoother. Well, all we can do is all we can do, and we're trying our best. We talked about unhoused citizens, and again, we kind of have three groups when you think about it. Those individuals who really don't want any help, and I forgot to mention before, or maybe I did. A lot of them do have Social Security or some type of funding, so they can, have provide for themselves as far as meals. And then the other group, they really can't help based off of pretty much some things they've done in life early on in life. And then last group, that was composes most of the children, and just a lot of organizations. I use the Children's Initiative as an example, and the churches, but all those organizations right now they need volunteers, and I think we kind of stated, as you said, September, October, we're going to have the next resource fair. So just stop by because the thing you can do to help our unhoused population is just volunteer and give your time. I talked about the state, GDOT, and then the city maintain roads and highways and how that works. I talked about Georgia Power and the power lines, actually just the power as far as the lights and how that works. Again, use that resource tool to call in light outages or if you need light installed. I talked about personnel, staff shortages across the city and the challenges that we face every day with those shortages. But again, we're working our best and we're making it happen what we have. And I closed out with canals and sidewalks, which kind of contribute to some of our staffing issues. So yeah, covered a lot of information. Like I said, I'll try to go back today and summarize some of this. If I was unclear, and maybe I think of something else that I should have mentioned. And then again, this will be up for 30 days. If you got some suggestions, just come in the comments. We'll be monitoring the comments. Once it gets taken down, it'll be on our YouTube channel. We read comments there as well. And as always, I appreciate your time for tuning in and listening to me today. We got a great city. I know right now we're going through election season. It's a lot going on. With a lot of things. We're trying our best just to continue to provide quality service to our residents, and that being our sole purpose. And I'm grateful for my staff. I just want to highlight my staff again. I mentioned Public Works, Fire, and Police, but we have 4 departments who do a great job behind the scenes managing this city, take care of our citizens. I'm so proud of all of them. The commission and the mayor are proud of all of them. And I know you are as well. I look at comments every day, just being, thankful of everything that your employees do for the city of Waycross. And I'm going to stop there and just see if any more questions come in. Oh, okay. Got one question came in. Okay, so the one light they are working on is City Boulevard and Night Avenue. Is that Night? Yeah. So they're working at. I know that's been going on for a long time, and I probably said it before. I did do a post today. If you look at the post today, and it was GDOT collaboration projects. That's actually in there as far as one of the common the speed common techniques that they're using to help us out. So that's in there. I don't have a time right now when they're going to change it out. I know it's a software thing, but they are doing that one. So again, I'll follow up with GDOT on this one as well as Ava, as well as Ava, and kind of go from there. Do we have some more questions coming in? Okay. All right. I'll stay on about 5 more minutes just in case. Let me check my text real fast just in case too. All right. So okay, so I did discuss about how the city pays employees, how we do promotions. I just say this again. We got a handbook. It's on our website, or if you want to come see me, you can. Again, we have a few ways for cities to get raises, so or change in pay. So we can do a modification on the job description. That means they might get increased responsibilities, or we might clarify their responsibilities. So that can be reasons for increasing pay. They might get a degree that's gonna bump pay. They might get a specific certification that's gonna bump pay, or they might get promoted laterally or upwards. That's gonna change pay. Also, for certain positions, when you go in the supervisor level, if I'm a whatever, I'm a city manager, and I go to the next supervisor city manager level, then my pay automatically becomes equivalent to the lowest paid city manager amongst those four city managers. That makes sense. So that's also in the handbook. And if you want to research that stuff. So okay, now another question come in. Let me look here. Yeah, great point, Ms. Brown. So and this goes back to staffing a little bit. So when they start construction on those bypasses, I mean, it's going to be cars coming all through. Unfortunately, those neighborhoods. I'm working with me and the police chief. We're sitting down right now trying to figure this out. Um, we're definitely going to have an increased police presence, and I'm also thinking about maybe even blocking some stuff off in the morning, just doing those hours of going to work in school because what's the is it not Victory Drive? Is it Victory Drive? Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking about the other street that they kind of come down. Everybody thinks it's a 2 lane, but it's a 1 lane. Augusta, yeah, Augusta. So Augusta Drive, there's a few other streets that man they get very congested in the morning. I'm right now. Um, I'm concerned. I think the county manager's concerned. Both commissioners are concerned. The mayor and the chairman about just how that traffic flow is going to be during those possibly 2 to 3 years of construction of the bypasses. So we're trying to look at that. And I don't want to. I don't have an answer right now, Ms. Brown, but we're trying to figure this out. We will figure it out. Right now, we gotta get some data and just look at some things. So please, it goes back to safety, y'all. Just imagine if it's your child walking to school. You want everybody to slow down. So just slow down. And again, if you can leave early, leave early. That's the main thing. Because once you're late, you're endangering everybody. If you're speeding, you're endangering everybody. But great question and great comment. So is that it? I think that is. And it's 105. All right. Hey, so Red Cross. Hey, thank y'all for tuning in. I think this is very informational for us as a city. And for those who just came in the first time, we do one. We do two of these every month. Um, the first Thursday and the fourth Thursday. And the first Thursday is a little bit more information and less questions. And this one's kind of supposed to be geared to be less information and more questions. But today I want to go ahead and cover a lot of items that I saw on Facebook over the last week. Just make sure everybody's got a clear understanding. So hey, be safe out there. I know we got a long holiday weekend. Just be careful out there. I know you're gonna have some fun, like Red Cross always does. But whenever see everybody back safe and sound next week. And again, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, positive recommendations, please reach out to us because again, we don't know everything, and we take any criticism as well. We take anything that we can get to make us perform better, and we'll try to utilize it. So, y'all stay safe out there, and okay. So the commissioner mentioned the protection bridge. So let me talk about it real fast. So with the bridge, the we have crosswalks now, and it's good that she brought that up. I was traveling this morning. I take corridors either work a lot. We really need citizens to use the crosswalk. I don't know how to say this. For whatever reason, people just walk across the street, other areas. Right now, the crosswalk is all we have. Please use the crosswalk, use the light system, because people will slow down if they see it. But if you just run across the street, especially if you come in, I don't have a way to show you, but if you're coming from one side, from ongoing traffic, the other side might not see you shoot across there. So, you gotta be, the pedestrians gotta be safe too. It ain't just the cars. We all gotta be safe. So watch out for each other again on those roads and those situations. Again, Miss Brown. So with that situation, and I'll touch on it a little bit. We did try to put a light on two more areas, but again, if you think about what I said earlier, that's a GDOT main highway, and it's their system, not mine. But I do feel like when they do another study, because traffic is going to increase out there, that the next time they do that study, and I have requested a study once the overpasses get started, we should qualify for those lights. So I don't want to overcommit, but I feel like we will give them this time, and hopefully that'll be something that helps out with the safety down there on Corridor Z. Okay, Mr. Ben, I'm not sure. Oh yeah. Okay, so about that comment, but y'all have fun if y'all are doing one. And let me see something else before I just time out. All right. Oh, and last comment. So the parks are almost complete. Each commissioner will do a grand opening sometime in September for their park. So we're looking forward to that and the utilization of the parks and all those things that we talked about. The not volleyball, the kickball league, flag football, basketball, street ball in some scenarios, some cases, softball. They will pick up, and then we'll kind of have another some more stuff available for our citizens, especially our children. And with that, hey, everybody have a great day. Have a great weekend. I thank y'all for allowing us to support you and serve you. And we will see you out there in Waycross, Georgia. I have fun this weekend and stay safe.